Hey wild ones, welcome to today's live video. We haven't done an interview like this or like a conversation with someone live in a while. So, and this is actually Lynndee's first time. So let's see how we can get this to work. Hi, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. So I'm going to give it a moment to wait for Lynndee to join in and get her in the video. So while we wait for the techie stuff to work out, I just wanted to share a little bit more. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, I can wave. Share a little bit more about what to expect in this live. So we're just going to be talking about our experiences so far of sexual healing, why it's so important, what it has opened up for us in our lives, and share a few tips on how you can either begin or continue your journey of sexual healing. So I'm going to send this video to her. Well, 1 second. Let me see if I can. Okay. I'm sending it to her. Hopefully she will receive that invitation and be able to join. Worst case scenario, if for some reason Lynndee is absolutely not able to join, I will go ahead and share some tips. There we go. View request. Yay! All right, here she comes. Yay! All right, so Lynndee is joining us from a different part of the world, so we had to get really creative on coordinating our schedules for this. All right, Queen, I hear you, but I don't yet see you. There you are. All right.
Sorry. Apologies. Hello.
Yay, you're here. You're really pixelated though. Do you have a strong connection?
Yes, I hope so. Let's see if it adds up.
Okay. And now to help us kind of troubleshoot also for anyone watching, let us know if anyone freezes to you or if the audio is unclear or anything like that, because we want this to go as smoothly as possible so you can hear everything and get as much value as possible. Can everybody see and hear both of us? Can somebody let us know? Because to me, Lynndee, you look, it's not loading.
Okay, let me restart my internet.
Okay. So I will continue here as she gets the internet. So many variables and things like this. So much fun. Okay. So let's talk about this. Actually, and I would love to hear what questions you may have about this kind of work. Are you exploring your sexual beliefs, doing some sexual shadow work, exploring different kinds of pleasure, awakening your body, reconnecting to your body and your senses, sensuality? I would love to hear your questions. And that way we can also maybe, okay, thank you. You can see Lyndee's, okay, good. Okay, so it wasn't just me. I want to make sure. Thank you, ladies. So any questions that you have about this or challenges that you may be having within this scope? Here's the thing about sexuality. So your sexuality is a clear and powerful mirror of what else is going on in our lives. This is why on my Pssyword YouTube channel, oh, here she is. Okay, let's see. Let's see if she's back. Ooh. I hope it works. There we go. That's better.
Okay, hi. Apologies,
Right.
internet troubles.
No problem. So you're a little pixelated still, but you're like, I can see you. Like I can actually see you now. So good.
That's good.
All right. So Lynndee, I would love for you to take a moment and just share a little bit about you and what has brought you to this kind of work.
Okay, sure. I would love that. Thank you very much for opening the space and for having me today.
Yes.
First of all, I started my own experience of my sexuality, just accepting the boring sex routine, please your husband, and that's how it's going to be. So that led me to my own further discussion and further more to this side. And first I started off with asking the Western world for solutions. That has led me to no answers, just more pills and more I'm insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like you
And
want too much,
that
right?
yeah, oh, totally. Why are you asking these questions? So, like a silencer. And then I started, I never stopped asking the questions, and that led me to Tantra, the Eastern
Mm,
philosophy.
yes.
And I'm so glad that I followed the path, because I can now say with so much dignity or sanity that it was truly a healing path, and it's
Yes.
still. Mm,
It's a lifelong thing, right? Like it's like
totally,
you become aware of what you've like get a taste of what you've been missing, and then you're like, oh, and it's been here all along. I have access to it all along, and now you get to
totally.
expand in that. Yeah. So
It's actually like eating. If when you change your lifestyle, it's
yes,
consistent,
and
and
it
then
impacts
you
everything.
yes, and then you all of a sudden see, oh, but I have more energy. So why would I go back to where I was depressed and low energy?
Yeah.
So you keep seeking that. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a you keep building momentum, kind of. It's like this one thing builds upon the other, and then you have this compound effect,
totally,
and you get into the habit of feeling good and feeling more connected.
totally.
Yeah.
And isn't it that feeling good? Uh, Something pleasure. I had to get pleasure. My nerve system went in fight and flight when I used to tap into pleasure.
Yeah.
So I had to train my body to accept pleasure, because I'm used to pain, suffering.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so many people are. I think that that's actually a really great point, because as far as the trauma response is concerned, like we store unprocessed and unexpressed, repressed emotions or energy in our nervous
Mm.
systems, and a lot of this manifests in our sexuality and in our like you're
Mm.
saying, just the inability to connect with our pleasure, not inability, but this resistance,
Mm.
because our bodies are like, no, it's not safe to open up. And
Totally.
so you really do literally have to train your mind to your brain to continue. That's why it's a practice. Like I talk about,
Mm.
doing a self-pleasure practice every day of some form. And it's
Mm.
because the more consistent you are with it, the more you're like, it's okay, this is safe, this is me,
Mm.
this is for me, I deserve it, all of that. It's so
Mm.
beautiful.
But it's like
Um,
taking a bath. You need a bath every
yeah.
day. Well, not
Yeah.
every day, but
But it's an
some
ongoing.
point you're gonna get sticky, and then you need a bath.
Yeah, if you wait too long, it's like we have physical hygiene, we have spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene, sexual hygiene, just if you think of it that way.
Totally, yeah. It's very nice to say it in that way.
It's upkeep, but if we think of it as work, then it's like, more stuff I got to do. But if you think of it as, ooh, I'm gonna feel good doing this, and I
I got,
deserve to do this.
I got a quote the other day, but I can't remember the quote specifically. But it's choosing your heart.
Yeah.
Waking up is hard. Um, Choosing to choose the healthy option is hard. Having a hangover is hard. Choose your heart.
Yeah, like quitting drinking is hard, but also being, dependent is hard. Being married is hard. Being single is
Totally.
hard. Being broke is hard. Being, successful is hard. It's just exactly that. Choose your hard. Oh,
Yeah.
so the pleasured Eula, the pleasured. Okay, I'm not sure how to say it. I'm trying to pronounce it. The pleasure doula. Ooh, I think I get it. Okay, just because I love to call people by their names. If you're still watching the pleasure doula, can you let me know what your name is? Because I love that, and then I can associate that with your beautiful picture, even though it's really small on my screen. She asked, "How did you start your journey?" Okay, and I think this was from a little while ago, huh? Um, so Lynndee shared about how you started your journey. So basically, what I'm hearing in that is that you decided, you came to a point where you decided to take initiative of your own ownership of your
Mm,
own pleasure,
totally.
and exploring that within also your relationship and what that looks like. So so for you, before I move on to sharing about how I got started with this, how did that impact your sex life and your relationship?
Well, to be honest, I didn't even know it would have such a massive impact in my whole life. It actually, when I started digging up this treasure chest, I was like, holy, I'm not sure if I'm
You
supposed to
just say
swear.
what you want to say. I'm gonna definitely, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just checking. Do I need to censor myself? Uh,
No censorship
so,
here.
okay, great. So, I dug up the treasure chest and I was like, but there's so many facets to it and there's so
Yeah.
many more doors. And then I started closing the doors because it was so much. But I returned to them and it actually, I had experience. I am married to a guy that was previously married that has children. And
Okay.
I have been seeing a lot of psychiatrists and people in the past that will help me with their relationship because of past hurts and so. And when I started working on my sexuality, that's when everything changed. So everything fluid out onto all my relationship, business, you getting new people into my life. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tapping into your sexuality is just it's just I don't there's no words.
Yeah, and well, you're unlocking your creative, your life force energy, more of that. Because that's what it is. That's what
Totally.
sexual energy is. It's creative energy, it's life force energy from which literally all everything
Mm,
came, you know? So I mean
exactly.
it's how we all are here. So so to I mean that's something that that I end up having a lot of conversations with people about is how, especially in the spiritual community and practices and healers and everything, and is like sexuality is almost like this final frontier that is yet to be explored as an integrative
Mm,
part of our being and our spirituality, and who
mm,
we are fundamentally.
mm,
And it's inseparable from spirituality.
mm.
Sexuality is spirituality, and we are so afraid of it collectively and as a,
Totally
you
agree.
know, culturally, that and it's not, it's shamed.
Mm,
It's shamed so much. So for me, I had to work through so many layers of shame to get to the point where I could really connect with my pleasure, and it felt safe, and I didn't feel this fear of like I'm going to disappoint my image of
mm,
who I think God is and things like that.
mm, mm,
Because I grew up being taught that, like you're saying, you know, pleasure is for your marriage and for your husband. Don't
mm,
do it until you're married. Don't masturbate. You know, all of this stuff, and
mm.
be pure. I mean, to be quite
Be nice.
honest, toxic purity culture, and there's a lot of actual religious trauma that came along with that, and so many different layers. So that's that for me. Like the spiritual healing and the sexual healing have gone very much hand in hand. And so when you talk about, you know, how everything just flowed from that, 100%. Because when you own
Mm,
that part of you and you are connected with that, it's just there's nothing that is not impacted.
mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
so
and it's just
it fluids out to the rest of your and it's like sorry for my experience is a creativity that I lost as a child. It's when you tap
yeah.
into your sexuality again, you tap into this creativity and like you say we all come from it. um, it's a lot of shame and taboos about your sexuality.
Yes, yes. And so it's like the big part of the work is sifting through all of those, you know, projected mindsets and beliefs and shoulds and
Mm,
shouldn'ts about our sexuality, about sex, about femininity, about masculinity, about
mm,
how to, you know, show up. Or I mean, another thing that I remember hearing a lot was, you know, don't make your brother stumble. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
well, fuck, I can't do anything then. I can't smile at them. I can't like hug them too close, the awkward side hugs in church. Because God forbid you should make too much contact or they think you're just giving them bedroom eyes or something. So it really is about unlocking, like being a free fucking human being, and all
Oh.
that comes with
Mm.
that we all want that. We crave that,
Mm.
and we can't, there are some things that universally human beings we really want, like
Mm.
to be seen, to be known, to be heard, to be accepted,
Mm.
and to connect, like to
Mm.
truly connect. And if we're sexually locked up and that energy is just stuffed away, I mean, I don't know another way around having that without this.
Mm. And I've seen with my own experience, um, being more conscious of the energy moving through my body is
Yes.
as soon as I start judging it, or my head is trying to put it in a box, that's the moment my creativity slows down.
Right.
It's like, no, lady, what are you doing? We're not trying to put this in a box now, just go with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
This is too
hang
weird.
on, hang on, I'm not there yet. But it's taking yourself to the capacity your nerve system can, and loving yourself in those moments where you like, okay, it's been too much, but let's carry on.
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they call it a vulnerability hangover.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Brene Brown. So for those of you watching who have not looked at Brene Brown's work, so great. So great. And
Mm,
vulnerability is but like true vulnerability, not like going on
mm,
a shame spiral in front of another person, or over. She also talks really really amazingly about what oversharing and all that stuff, but sharing from a vulnerable place of, this is how I feel, what's going on in my heart, and there's this possibility of
mm,
being rejected by the other person. That is what
mm,
really creates that connection. I mean, like the other day, or just last night. Shit, it was last night. I started my moon cycle yesterday. I started bleeding, so I was like feeling it in my body. The first day is
mm,
always I just feel like I just want to like lean into it and be more brooding and just be like, let me just tap into my wisdoms and my my womb. That's every day, but especially in the first couple days, I'm like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do a whole lot. And I plan my life and my business around this, too, knowing the power of the cycle. Um,
mm.
and I was feeling extra just tender at the end of the day. And there were some things that came up for me, and we were just having a normal conversation, Ryan and I, my husband. And the next thing I know, I'm just like crying on the floor in here. And he's like, "You okay?" Like, well, there's this crap right here, and I feel like I need to address this thing. And he's like, "You want to talk about it?" I'm like, "Yes." And so to learn, to practice, to leaning into those moments
Mm,
of raw vulnerability, of not having a grasp on things, and just letting it wash over,
mm,
and then maybe later making sense of it. But it's not like you're saying, like getting in your head the moment that you start to judge it, like, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm better than this. And then you judge yourself for
mm,
judging yourself.
mm.
And then you go into this, spiral. Yeah. Years of that. So, uh, yeah, to
And I just
remove the
want to share
judgment.
with the moon cycle, is because you mentioned the moon cycle. I don't know if you experience this, but as soon as you go into, because I'm quite in tune with the moon cycle, and normally the week or 3 days or 4 days before my moon cycle, I normally have this stuff that I've been carrying since I've been a little girl or whatever, maybe that
Mm,
week break. Then it comes very into my consciousness, and I'm like very aware of the stuff that I need to deal with now. And
yeah.
then I'm always excited to know, oh, what's the next package I get this month to let go.
Because there's always something. We're never done.
Like I said, it's a treasure chest that we open.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I get to my period, my moon cycle, then I'm like very excited when stuff comes up. Like, yes, I'm letting it go this month.
Yes. It's like that. And you know what? For so long, my period would line up with the full moon. And now it's
Wow.
like, now it's
Nice.
going down. It's almost to the new moon now. Well, because, you know, it's like, it's going towards the new moon. But that was so interesting because I would do my rituals anyways for the full moon to release. And it
Mm.
just felt so like, oh, yes. So, like, I feel it in my body that it's like release. And that, yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, the week before tends to be
Mm.
more of like a slowing down. The week
Mm.
before is usually, if I have a tough week anywhere in my
Mm.
cycle, it's that week leading up to it, or those few days, like maybe
Yes,
five-ish
mine as well.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where some women can experience really extreme like PMS and debilitating, can't get out of bed cramps,
Mm.
something like that, which that's a whole other thing I won't get into in this video, but there are so many just emotional things and energetic
Mm.
things really going
Mm.
on beneath that. Um, but anyways, that's like generally the time to lean into that and get more
Mm.
into this intuitive space and tune in to, like you said, what am I being called to look at or
Mm.
release?
Mm.
Yeah. And then the days after I'm done bleeding, I'm just like the best, like just I can do everything. I'm still
Yeah,
energized.
queen of the world.
Can have sex like all the time. Like it's just yeah. I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready, babe? Are you ready? Can we do it again? Create the programs, do the marketing, create all the content. Like it's just, you know, it's
Totally.
interesting how it
Tap
works.
in.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you know what? I never did answer. Okay, so in a nutshell, the pleasure doula, what started me on this journey was really was a really tough time in my marriage. Um, my husband was going through a period of a 2.5 year period of depression and disability. I developed an autoimmune disorder. We were having our fourth baby, and then after he was born, it actually got even worse. And so, I mean, you can imagine the cumulative stresses, right, of having a newborn and then another baby that's barely a year old, and then two other kids to take care of, and a husband who is just like checked out of life. So I felt like a single parent with an adult child. Um, and I was definitely in survival mode. I was very much in my masculine. I didn't feel supported or safe in my marriage as far as like he was very volatile. He would go from being very apathetic and just checked out to volatile and just raging, angry. And that was my life for a couple of years. The kids were scared of him. Like it was just like, it was hell. It was hell on earth. Um, which I believe that we only experience hell or heaven on earth now, but just as a term, as an expression. Um, and amongst other things, so I started doing some exploring, looking for different
Mm.
tools, looking for different solutions, and the self-talk that I was getting from myself and from my programming and my habits and ways of thinking was not working for me anymore. It was making it I was suffering more from that.
Mm.
So I decided I need some different voices in my head to kind of help, like, give me some new possibilities. And I started
Mm.
listening to to certain people like Tony Robbins, and he's very much like just direct and this and this and this and like life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, and all these things. I
Mm.
was like, wow, I've never heard anything like this before. This is like, what? People live like this? And then one thing led to another. Started exploring more of the sexual work.
Mm.
Really, the access point for me was we started talking about our fantasies, and that opened up this whole new world of, well, possibility and fun. But actually, during that time where we were like everything else felt like it was falling apart, sex is like the glue that held us together
Mm.
and helped
Wow.
us to get through. Yeah. And so that was like our kind of like more level playing field where, like, we could explore and create that safe container for ourselves where we felt like life in general, we didn't have that yet. Um, and so then I started to explore from there and get into more tantric practices. And I was the one who really was interested in that. And then Ryan later on began to become more interested in all of these things, that we are now more on the same page in spirituality and sexuality than we have ever been in our 15 years together. So really speaks a lot to the power of one person committing to exploring their path. And then conversely, there have been many times where he has been the one to show up consistently in a certain way. And then I finally was able to open up and feel safe. So relationships are such a powerful mirror of that, of what we have yet to heal in ourselves. So we've done a lot of inner work separately and together. Yeah, so all in all of this really came from my suppression of sexuality as a kid and the shame around that, and my very early childhood memories of being shamed for exploring my body, and just how that felt like. I felt like I was disgusting, like, ooh, what are you doing? Like, oh, it's gross. So then I felt like it was something that was meant to be hidden and secret and dirty. And I wanted so badly to change the way that I felt about that, which absolutely had the most impact on my marriage, on the way that I show up as a mother, what I create, like you were saying, just is everything, and just how, and really how I feel in my body, which we think, then we feel, and then we do. So, so that's in a nutshell. I don't even know if she's still in the live, but if she watches the replay, then she can
She'll
catch
get
that. But I did want to share too. I know that we have a limited time when it comes to the Instagram lives, and we did start a little late, but I want to make sure we share some little juicy tidbits with them today. If someone is starting out on this kind of journey, or they're ready to explore more of their sexual energy and that power, where would you direct them or suggest that they start?
Well, there's many solutions, but today what I'm thinking of that is coming to my mind, or what I'm feeling, is that Pussy is wanting me to say is, look me in the mirror, look at me in the mirror.
Yes,
Start there.
yes.
Yeah, start there.
That's so
then,
powerful.
Totally. And then explore. Be curious. I know there can be a lot of stuff coming up while that curiosity is there.
Yeah.
But keeping
that's
the
magic. That's the magic right there, is in noticing like what's coming up. Like, oh, why do I feel shame? Why do I feel disgust? Why am I judging? Why am I judging my vulva? Like, is she not good enough? Why is she not good enough? Oh, well, that's a new mole. Like, just
that will keep you entertained for long.
This is true. That is a really good pointer. Okay, so for any of you watching, please, seriously, when you do the exercise, you might want to just kind of like giggle and laugh, and that's fine. Be present with whatever's coming up, but then also sit with the discomfort. Because that's where the magic happens, and not running away from the emotions. You've done that long enough. It's time to look your pussy in the face.
I like it. You can do it. We can do it. You can do it.
We can do it. You can do it. Damn right. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, this is such an interesting one. I mean, I asked the question, but now I'm like, oh, what do I say? What do I say? I say many things. It depends on the context. But if you're ready to get started in this kind of exploration and you just have no idea where to start, like Lyndee said, do the mirror exercise. And I would say, like, how long would you, so that's one thing. So we'll want to make sure we solid on that. How long would you personally recommend that somebody does that the first time?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So we're not talking a quick glance.
I'm obsessed. So I'll do it longer, but I mean, let's just not throw it all out at the park park. So let's just say 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
5 minutes. I mean, I set a timer.
Like a meet and greet. Like,
Yes,
hey, how
yes,
you
yes.
doing?
Like a meet and greet. You're like, oh, hey. But yeah, minimum 5 minutes. Because
Haven't seen
that's,
you in like 40 years.
I
I've
haven't
been
seen you in a
using
long time.
you.
You know, a lot of women have never actually looked at themselves. And so it's like, it can feel really strange. But yeah, 5 minutes can feel like a long time. And that's like, I would say at least 5 minutes. I
Totally.
think, yeah, anywhere between 5 and 10, because it's going to feel, it might feel
Mm.
like a long time and you're in there and you're just like looking and you're like, what am I looking at? And so, yeah, yeah, connect,
Mm.
channel loving energy. Um,
Mm.
okay. Okay, good. So we're on the same page about that. Well, let me just make sure if you're like a particular time. Um, so one thing that I would suggest if for anyone who is ready to begin doing this work is, oh, especially those women. So a lot of the women that come to me, they feel like they are disconnected from their bodies. Like some of
Mm.
them can't even feel pleasure when they touch themselves,
Mm.
or they have clitoral atrophy or numbness or a lot of pain inside the vagina. And so I'm going to just throw some, share something with anyone who is experiencing that.
Mm.
Um, in addition to the yoni pusha, the mirror exercise, is this: remove the pressure from
Mm.
making your body feel any certain way. So there's
Mm.
this thing about acceptance. And this is why I love that you shared that exercise, because that exercise is so powerful in reaching this point of acceptance, awareness and acceptance. You can't accept what you're not aware of, right? So you
Mm.
become aware, and the acceptance is not this like complacent, passive thing that you just pretend not to care. I accept this. No, that's more like tolerating something. To
Mm.
really accept something, it's literally just, this is what it is. Like, this is a hand.
Mm.
The more that I resist that this is a hand and I want it to be a wing, like an eagle wing, it doesn't work like an eagle wing. It's a hand. But guess what? I can't use all the fantastic features of my fingers, which are also really great for pleasure. Okay. As long as I want it to operate like a fucking wing. So acceptance
Mm.
is simply just accepting that what is. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you detach from your desires or your vision, what you want. You still want what you want. You don't
Mhm.
shut your heart down so that you won't be disappointed. But what
Mm.
happens is, energetically, when we accept something, it's this releasing of resistance. And when there's less resistance, then what is, whatever maybe that other person or this own thing going on in your body, it's like this sensed feeling of safety, to like
Mm.
a sigh of relief, and then that energy can flow. Now, what
Mm.
this has been the most powerfully applied in my life personally towards in my marriage, because when Ryan was in that place of being depressed and disabled and loss of identity and angry and then out of it, the more I tried to fix him and resist what was, the worse it got. The
Mm.
more criticized he felt. Even if I was saying like the right words, he could feel the energy. Energy
Mm.
doesn't lie.
Mhm.
Words don't speak shit compared to your energy. So
Totally.
he could feel that. And so when I began to practice accepting things in myself, because you can only meet
Mm.
someone as far as you've met yourself, then I had the
Mm.
capacity to actually accept more of him and where he was. Not that somebody the other day in an interview, she said she had this aha moment. She was like, oh my God, I just realized how afraid I was that if I accept him the way he is, that he'll continue to want to be that way. When actually
Mm.
it creates a safe container for him to be like, oh, you don't hate me.
Mm.
You're not trying to make me change. And then they can explore more. They can like begin to get out of their shells and be more open to different solutions. And that was what happened with us, 100%. Now that doesn't mean that now I was like perfect and I never criticized him. That has been my biggest challenge of our marriage. But as a mother too, that has been the biggest impact. And one of my kids is having a moment, and I can tell
So
her.
somebody on the call, where did the acceptance start for you? How can a person know where the
Like when they
acceptance
feel it,
starts?
it's like when you can feel it. It's partially it's a process, but then it comes to like a point where something clicks and you're like, oh, I actually don't need you to change anything for me to be okay. Like I am at peace with myself regardless of the circumstances. Now, if someone is being abusive or doing something that you're just like, no, this is not okay, that's something else. You know, you're going to address that, set some clear requests or boundaries, things like that. But otherwise, the more that you practice feeling good in your own body and being at peace with yourself, and that looks like doing a lot of actually, you know, messy, painful work of self-acceptance, self-discovery, what I talk about in as far as shadow work, looking at the parts of ourselves that we have not wanted to look at. And then you begin to see a different response over time, but you've got to show up consistently, or else the other person's going to think that you're just trying to manipulate the situation. So that was the other thing where I told this friend, it was like, but don't accept so that they will change, or don't accept your body so that you can have that cervical orgasm, you know, because that's not really, that's not
I get it that my client, I get it that my clients say, well, I'm willing to accept it. And then other parts like, no.
Yeah, what they're really saying is I'm willing to tolerate it.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually what they say.
Yeah. So it's like an actual neurological process
Totally.
and practice, because the neurons in our brain, the more that they fire together, they wire together and they become a habit, and then they become part of who we are. And so we're just getting into that. That's why I do my daily self-pleasure practice, and it has changed my life. It has changed my sex life. It actually enabled me to be able to have vaginal orgasms during penetrative sex without having to do all these other things that we used to have to do to experience, you know, pleasure together.
And isn't that what you just said is common sense? I mean, showing up for sex,
it's practice.
But practicing, it takes practice. It's not just, okay, right, let's do something.
And you take the pressure off of him or her, whoever your lover is, to figure it out for you.
Totally.
Because people say, oh, it doesn't.
And you know exactly what you want, and you know how you want it exactly.
Yes.
And the pleasure is not his or her responsibility; it's yours.
Yeah, because the truth is, the pleasure's in your mind.
Pleasure the goal.
Yes, pleasure the goal, not the climax, not the end. It's like playing a symphony. The best conductors are not the shortest symphonies. Like they don't make the biggest like endings. It's the whole journey. That is the point. Yeah. So like also releasing that resistance. So for a lot of women who have trouble, who have a challenge experiencing orgasm, there's probably a lot of resistance, energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally. So the more that they do exactly like you said, you know, practicing just the pleasure, like melting into the pleasure, and just make that the point. Then the best orgasms in their life will just like creep up on them. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a lot for whoever's watching. We are sharing a lot of things here with you. Juicy. But if anyone wants to, is there anything else that you wanted to share? I'm not sure exactly how much time we have, but I don't want to like end abruptly. So
no, I think it's a good point to end off.
Good. And if anybody wanted to check out more of your work or explore working with you, what would that look like and where would they go?
Instagram, Wild at Heart. That's my, what do you call it? I don't even know what.
Yeah, like your username.
There we go.
Your page.
that one, Wild at Heart. by
Oh, I
Lynndee.
love that. I love the word wild too. I use the word wild a lot.
And yourself? Do you want to say where the folks can get you?
Oh yeah, so here on the Pussy Powered page, you can also watch. There's a bunch of content from embodiment practices, guided meditations, tapping sessions, content on sexual healing and empowerment for women at Pussy Powered on YouTube. And then I've also got 4 different programs for anyone who wants to explore more in depth. As far
Mm.
as sexuality goes, Pussy Magic would be the first place I would recommend. And for strengthening your pelvic floor in more of a fun, sexy way with some cool little yoni workouts and daily practices, you can check out Pussy Fit. And then I also have these two are for anybody. You don't have to have a vagina for these two, or identify as a woman. Uh, the Inner Child Healing Starter Course and my new Shadow Work Starter Course will help you to unpack more of those layers that maybe get in the way of covering up that most free, wholehearted you. And all of that you can find at the link in my description or on my Lucy Lampy personal profile. So yeah, and thank you for everyone who has joined and come and gone and watching the replay. And Lynndee, thank you so much for joining me today. It just beautiful, radiant energy, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. And everyone, stay tuned for more. I would love to do more lives with you again, and with other guests too, who we can share value with all of you watching. So thank you again, and we will see you all soon. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye, Lynndee.
Bye.